Hello guys, what's up? Thank you so much for joining me in this video. My name is Mortaza and this is the next video of my C# training tutorial here at A Coder's Journey. If you haven't already watched the previous videos, please make sure you do. In the last video, we kind of, finished talking about loops, and in this video, we are going to start talking about arrays. In the last video, I remember we had an example where we touched upon the concept of arrays. We declared an array and we iterated the elements using a for loop, and we talked about the break statement, the continuous statement. But in this video specifically, we want to start talking about arrays and how they can be very useful when it comes to working with a collection or a series or a sequence of elements. So as I have told you, I think in the very beginning probably of this series, we use variables, right, to store values in our program. For example, I have used this example many times, right? We have we have a variable called, for example, my age, right? And it is of type integer, and I'm gonna store the value 32 in this single variable. Now, as opposed to single scalar variables, we can have arrays as well, and arrays allow us to store a sequence of values, right, next to each other. So it's kind of a list of values, right, of the same type, of the same data type. So all of the values need to be, for example, string or integer, and so on. And then we have different values, separated by commas, and then we can work with them. We can, for example, access each element individually. We can, for example, change each element. We can iterate the elements one by one in a loop, and so on. So the important thing, I think, about arrays in C# is that the elements, the values that you store in an array must be of the same data type. There are many, programming languages where you can have an array, and in each element you can have a value of different data types. For example, the first element is a string, the next one is a number, and so on. But in C#, if you want to work with arrays, you have to always remember that the data type of the elements in an array all have to be of the same data type. They have to be the same. So one of the ways to declare a variable of an array is to, for example, say the data type. You declare the data type, and then you use a square bracket. This tells C# that you are declaring an array, and then you're gonna let's say declare put in the name, right? And then you can say the name of the array, and then of course you can say how many items you want in this array. You're gonna say, for example, 4. So this will create an array of 4 elements, right? And then the data type of each element is a string, and then of course you can start adding elements to your array, for example, using this square bracket, using this syntax. For example, you can say names 0, because arrays are 0 based, so the first element is at 0, at index 0. This is called index. So you can say names 0 equals, and then you need to assign a string, because this names is of type string. So this means that if, for example, I come here and I say, I don't know, names 1 equals 12, I will get an error, because here I cannot assign an integer to this, because C# expects this to be a string, right? So by the way, this is one of the ways to declare variables. So you use the data type, you use square bracket, you put in the name, and then the new keyword, right? And then you specify the data type one more time, and then you specify how many elements you want in the array. I have already prepared other ways to declare arrays, right? We're going to talk about them. As you can see here, this is the the first method that we just talked about, the data type, right? the square bracket and then the number of elements. You can, in addition to specifying how many elements you want, you can specify each element up front using curly braces, right? And then for a string, of course, we use double quotes, and then we separate each element using a comma. Or you can, for example, omit the number of elements you want, right? So C# will look at the list that you have here, and it will understand that here in this array we will have 4 elements. So as you can see here we have 4 names of cars. So C# will understand that this is an array of string with 4 elements. And then here I think the most efficient or the shortest way to declare a variable, a string variable of type, an array of type, string, you do not specify this part, you omit this part altogether, and then you specify the values you want, and C# will understand that this is an array of a string with 4 elements. Now, let me get this one, right? And I'm gonna comment these, right? And I'm gonna declare a variable. I'm gonna say cars, right? One of the things that you can do with arrays is that you can access each element using the square bracket. So for example, I can say string my car, right, is cars 0, and then I'm gonna say console write line my car, right? So this will give me the first element, because arrays are 0 based. The first element is always at index 0, right? So I can get to a specific element using the index. I can also, let me run this and show you guys what it will give me in the output. As you can see here, I get the first element in the array, right? And as well as, accessing the elements using an indexer, using this syntax, you can also change, for example, a value. You can go and say, the third element, this one, I want it to be, for example, something like this, right? And then you can print this in the output, right? And as you can see, I have changed the, third element. Another thing you can do with arrays is that you can get the length of an array, right? Length means how many elements exist in this array. So length is a property here, and then I'm gonna say print my length, right? I'm gonna run this, and in the output I get 4 because there are 4 values in this array. So length is very useful, as you saw in the last episode. When we want to iterate over an array, we want to start from the very beginning till the end of the array. For that, we can use the length property. So as you saw in this video, we have different ways of declaring arrays. Arrays help us to store a sequence of values. You just have to remember that the elements that you put in an array must be of the same data type, right? You can get to a specific element using an index. You can change a specific element again using the index, and you can get the number of elements in the array. And of course, you can use loops, as you have seen in the last video, to iterate over an array. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If that's the case, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, A Coder's Journey, and also activate that notification bell so that you do not miss out on any of my new updates. If you have anything to say, leave a comment in the comment section, give this video a like, and share it with a friend who is learning how to code in C#. Stay around. I will talk to you in the next video.